mean, you guys didn't think I was going to wait, did you? No! You know what? I expect this series to go back to Lunge talking to Lipsky, but no, instead they give us another blonde-haired, blue-eyed man for me to become attached to. Hey, it's Romania Black. We're on episode 59 of Monster, and yeah, I gotta know more about Martin. More about Martin sounds like the name of a show, and that's what I want this to be. So yeah, Martin has been introduced. I noticed as I was thinking about this on the drive home today from work, but it seems like every act of Monster, because if we're going by the 4-act structure, every act has introduced us to a mainstay character. And I'm not talking about Tenma, I'm not talking about Johan, because they've been here from the beginning, but like Act 1 was essentially Nina, aka Anna. She was introduced alongside Johan, and she's been like a mainstay person beside Tenma this whole time. Dieter was also, I guess if you look at it this way, you have Tenma and the twins have been a mainstay since episode 1. But the very first, and Eva can be thrown in there as well. But in Act 1, you had Dieter, who was introduced, and he's been following along with Anna this whole time. Act 2 was Reichwein, essentially, that's been following along and joined the crew. And Rudy's in there as well, Carl's in there as well, but mainly Reichwein's been the one that has followed us, just like Anna and Dieter. And then Act 3 was Grimmer. And Grimmer, I don't think this is the last we've ever seen of Grimmer. No, because Grimmer's still alive, I think he's going to come back before the end of this. Now, whether he lives till the end or not, I don't know, but I feel like Grimmer's going to come back. So Grimmer was introduced Act 3. And now Act 4, we have Martin that's come in the final act to be introduced that has some role to play in all of this. Some role in telling Tenma what the hell's going on. Really want him to get to Tenma to talk to him. That'd be great. So I'm hoping that this episode will give us answers and not just cut back to Lunge. As much as I want Lunge and Lipsky's conversation, I want to find out more about Martin and Eva and what led to him getting shot. Is Eva okay? What did he discover? What's happening? I went to work. Found my notes that I had been missing from work, like you do. I don't have a whole lot to add for Monster, but there were 2 things I wanted to bring up before diving into this episode. The first thing is H-Banana7 talked about Vertiman, the lawyer from a few episodes back, and about the idea that Vertiman realizes the truth about his father, but realizes that truth about his dad is not going to change his identity and is not going to change the relationship that he has with his dad. So that's why he's okay with giving the notebook of information to Tenma, because he knows at the end of the day, it's not going to change who he is. The labels, the names may change, but who he is inside is going to remain the same. And I'm like, that ties wonderfully into the theme of our whole story. So huzzah! Good on you, Vertiman. And then Alex Johnson pointed out the man with the big eyes versus the man with the big mouth story, that they both end up unhappy, that the devil is the only one that is happy in the end. So is the message for these lovely indoctrinated children that we should just become a demon so that we don't get taken advantage of? Seems like that's the message, and that's pretty scary. So that's a fun time. And then finally, Ashley Penn noted this. I didn't realize this, but I'm a big One Piece fan. I've followed and read One Piece like chapter by chapter for the last 20 years of my life. So I've been a big One Piece fan. But they talked about how Grimmer's voice actor, if you don't watch One Piece, this will mean nothing to you. But if you do watch One Piece, the voice actor for Grimmer is the same as Doflamingo. What? I can't. Doflamingo is not the same type of character as Grimmer, or at least how they appear to be. So that's pretty crazy, right? But look at that. Look at that. So, oh, y'all. I don't know what we're going to get out of this episode. I can never tell what Urasawa is going to give us, if we're going to stay on the trick that we're on, or if we're going to veer off into something entirely different. But I really hope that at least for this episode, we stay on track with Martin, because I watched episode 58 a few days ago and I was like, I can't wait. I've got to find out, is Martin going to get to Tenma? Is he going to be able to tell him about Eva? What is he going to tell about Eva? Are we, the audience, going to find out, but not Tenma? I'm like, ugh. So I really hope that he gets to him and gives Tenma some inkling of understanding, because that's why I feel bad for Tenma, because at least Lunge has been doing research. Lunge is in the know. Lunge knows what's going on. He's the detective that knows everything that's going on. Grimmer doesn't seem to be concerned, and Tenma needs to know because he's going after Johan, but he's the one that doesn't know. So it's like, ugh. So yeah, I'm hoping that my dogs are good. Huckleberry's the only one that seems to be bothering me right now, which is why I'm bending down doing this. But yeah, I'm ready, y'all. I got home from work and I had dinner and I was like, nope, I am not going to wait any longer. I want to know more about Martin, hopefully. So we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive right in and see what we get. So we're going to start episode 59 of Monster. We're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do it to it, Lars. Sweet, delicious whiteboard coon. It's been so long since you've joined us again. Oh my God, this episode. Oh, the Martin arc. More Martin, please. More Martin, please. I don't want Martin to die. He's probably going to die. No, I love Martin. I love his character. I am freaking in love with Martin. How does Urasawa do this? How do they give us these characters that you know for like 2 episodes and you're instantly like ride or die for them? Like, I am ride or die for Grimmer, and now Martin, I'm like, okay, I can't cheat on Grimmer. Grimmer has my heart. Grimmer is my fave. But Martin is right up there. I'm like, holy shit, Martin is such a good character. He's so well written. I love his character, his motivations. The fudge with this Opie looking mother trucker that's in this episode just being the creepiest. What? And then him and Johan. Oh my God, Johan the devil. Could you kill a devil? Oh my God. Ah! So yeah. So we weren't far off. They were looking for Johan. Why they needed Eva to find Johan. We're going to go over this episode because I'm like, what the fudge show? What is this? What is this? Because it's like, what are we doing? Okay. I have lots of theories and thoughts and things I want to put up here on Whiteboard Coon, but this episode's amazing. I am loving the Martin arc. It's right up there with the Grimmer arc for me, although Grimmer has my heart and soul completely. Martin is a fantastic character, and we've only known him for 2 episodes, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna die, but I don't want him to die. I want him to be able to tell Tenma everything, what he saw. He said he saw something terrifying, which was Johan. He's got to tell. The thing is, it's not Bonaparte. No, it's the guy that took Nina and them to see Bonaparte. Yes, that's who it is. We're going to talk about all of this because there were some things from the last episode that I was like, okay, good, we were on the right track. And there's other things I'm like, oh, I was not anticipating that. So, and I'm going to be tossing this to my dog the entire time because he dealt with me screaming through this episode. So I like the idea of Stearns, old Stearns, Robbie at Stearns, and he's like, he knows that that Martin's a patron customer. He's probably talked to Martin one-on-one. The thing that's so crazy is that, and I guess it's not that crazy, it just kind of shows that like community mentality of everything, right? So for example, there's some things that are brought up in this episode. Things about Martin. Things about Martin, and we'll go with like the thematic stuff. Thematic fun. Yay! And that's an orange that you can hardly read. So I'm going to do the rest of it in green. Maybe it'll be better. So yeah, I really like Martin's character. Is that better? Can we see it better? Look at that. Yeah, so I like Martin's character a lot. He's really like clung on to me, and I am hardcore shipping him and Eva. I want him and Eva to be a thing, but I don't think it's going to be a thing. So, but yeah, so we have Robbie. We have Robbie, who is the guy at Stearns, the restaurant. He's rather interesting, and there's this idea about community that's sort of in like the weirdest sense, right? Because we have community. We could also have a sense, I'm going to put over here, like Kinderheim 511. There's this whole series has kind of talked about weird pockets of community, right? So like the orphans with Petrov, the Kinderheim 5'11" group. And then here we have just even Robbie and Martin. Because when Tenma shows up, I mean, Robbie is like your basic hillbilly that, you know, is culturally insensitive, and he's like Chinese or Vietnamese or something, and Martin's like, no, he's probably Japanese. And I'm like, interesting that Martin knows that, right? But Martin's like, no, he's probably Japanese. But Martin then explains that he knows that because he knows that it's Tenma, and he knows Tenma's following him. So Martin's not dumb. Martin is not dumb. He can be simple at times, but he's not an idiot. He understands what's going on. He's pretty perceptive, right? He just doesn't pry. He doesn't eavesdrop and pry into other people's business, right? And so he knows that Tenma's been trailing him, and he's like, yeah, this is who it is, and whatnot. And then when he starts to beat the crap out of Tenma, Robbie doesn't do anything. He just turns his head the other way. And you could argue that it's because Tenma's an outsider, because he's an outsider, not just ethnically, but that he's an outsider of this community. Robbie and the diner and that community is something that is fostered, and Tenma is this outside presence that's not necessarily wanted, that's pride himself in it. And so Robbie's like, I don't care if you beat him up, he's not a patron of mine. Because yeah, which is fascinating, because has Tenma ordered anything, or has he just stalked the diner? So again, we have this concept of food and humanity and community. Martin goes to the diner, he orders the food, he drinks the coffee, he has his regular food there. So him and Robbie have built this community. Tenma doesn't look like he goes there to eat, he just goes there to stalk. And Robbie's like, you gonna buy something? You know, so that part is so fascinating to me. It sucks that he turns his head, and you can be like, well, come on, dude, why are you gonna let this guy get beat up? But that's just the way this community functions, and it's not good. But Tenma is there prying for information. I also think it's very weird that Martin orders the sandwich with lots of ketchup and thick tomatoes. I'm like, tomatoes and ketchup, they're both products of themselves, but I'm like, no. My dog, oh my gosh. It's just, tomatoes and hamburgers, gross. I don't like tomatoes. Their texture's weird. But he's like, how am I supposed to remember that? And then he sees Tenma over there. He's been asking about you a lot. And the thing about it is that I guess the big question here is, did Tenma notice Martin with the suit and the tie? And that it was the same type of suit and tie that he would have wore? I don't think so. That's kind of the crazy thing. If we go over here and we talk about Eva and her fixation, the idea that the suit and tie that she picked out, she dressed Martin like Tenma. But the thing about it is that is just something that is only relevant to her. Her memory remembers that, the suit and tie that she got for him. Does Tenma remember that that's the same suit and tie that she got for him while Martin's wearing it? No, I don't think so, because otherwise Tenma probably would have called it out, right? He probably would have been like, why are you dressed like I was dressed? But Tenma, it's so far removed from him, that detail does not matter to Tenma. He doesn't remember that. But she does. And Martin does now. So it's so fascinating, the idea of memory and what we designate as having relevance or importance that other people don't is kind of brought up in this. So that's interesting. And then the thing about it is, Martin's like, he's done his research and knows who Tenma is. And he's like, look, I know who you are. I've been told about you. He's like, you are the former fiance of the hospital director's daughter. And the thing about it is Tenma is right to ask, what are you guys doing to Eva? Right? Tenma is like, you guys are doing something to her. What's going on? Martin is a little bit naive in this, because Martin's just like, oh, she's just going to party. She's just doing something for her clientele. I don't know why they're having her do it. But what baffles me is Martin doesn't quite, until the moment that Tenma's like, freaks out, he doesn't quite realize and put two and two together that once she's done doing her job, they're going to kill her. He doesn't get that, and you're just like, Martin, come on now, you're a hitman, you should know that. But he got kind of caught up in the delusion of it all, and you know, love is blind, and so he just let it slide. He wanted to protect her, but didn't realize what they were doing. And instead, and you kind of get the vibe in this that Martin is, we're going to talk about his role with women, that he gets protective of Eva because he gets protective of Eva because of his past with Etta and his mom, who both have two different situations happen surrounding them. But because of that, he's protective of her. And you kind of get the vibe that he's a little bit jealous of Tenma. And I'm not saying like jealous full on, like he's beating Tenma up because he's jealous, but there's a little hint there where he's like, you know, how long do you plan on playing the fiance? Like that line there, it's like Tenma is not playing the fiance. Tenma is done with all that. Tenma's like, I don't, you know, I care about Eva, but not like that, right? He just wants to protect her like what Martin wants to do for Eva. But there is a little hint of jealousy there where Martin's just like, can't you leave her alone? She'd be happy without you. You're dragging her through the mud. She's upset all the time because of you. Don't you get it? And there is a part of me that was like, I'm glad Tenma heard that because Tenma doesn't think anything about it because he's so hyperfixated on Johan that he's not, you know, he doesn't realize exactly, I think, what Eva's going through. And how could he? Because he's not been around her. But Martin's been around her, so he knows. So there is a little hint of jealousy. It's not much, but it is a little bit of a hint of jealousy because he wants to protect Eva. And again, you tie back to Etta, Tenma's the ex. So you go back to him and his relationship with Etta, his girlfriend, the idea that Etta left him or relapsed with her ex is tied directly to how he feels like being like, look, Eva's this alcoholic woman and it's because of you and she could potentially relapse even further with you. So it's just like history repeating itself. And no wonder that would psychologically mess with Martin, right? It's crazy. And he's like, from what I hear, you're not only not a doctor anymore, but you're a fugitive. Go to where you belong and fix yourself. And you might be released someday if you're an exemplary inmate. And yeah, he's like, look, I did my time. And if you are good like me, maybe you'll get off, but just quit trying to avoid your responsibility. And then Tenma's just like, no. Tenma is extremely persistent. Tenma's like the most stubborn person in this whole series. I think he's more stubborn than Johan. But he tells them to release her. And Martin's like, we're not even holding her. Like she's agreeing to do stuff with us. I'm just watching her. Like we're not making her do, at least according to Martin, they're not making her do anything. But we're just making her go to the parties. And then Tenma's like, I want to see her. And Martin's like, no, you're not. Stop hanging around and get lost. Martin's character is so fascinating because he's just so calm and cool and collected. There's nothing that seems to faze him, right? He just he beats Tenma up, throws him in the street, but he does so without getting over emotional. The only time he gets emotional in this episode is when he finds out Eva's in trouble and when that stupid Opie mother trucker starts talking about his past. That's when he gets emotional and like worked up, right? Chapter 59, the man who saw the devil. Oh. Yep. And so, yep, the man who saw the devil. And the question is Johan the devil? We've made him out to be. I want to talk about Johan real quick. We're going to talk about Johan over here. We're going to put Johan up here, right? Because some people have commented in the comments. There's somebody that commented about episode 57. And I just read it the other day, talking about how Johan, when he presents to Nina the two options, we want to think that Johan has like dead bugs or something in his hand. I commented on the episode about that. But when he opens up his hands, they're just acorns. He's not playing any dirty games with Nina. He's just he wants Nina to be happy and to be healthy. And so this person was asking, like, you know, it's kind of weird. Is Johan as malicious as he seems? And I'm like, what's fascinating is that since episode 57, that's revealed a whole lot about... Episode 57 was like a turning point with Johan. It was right at the end of Act 3, where we thought Johan has been this malicious murderer that's been just a cold-hearted bastard this entire time. And we've always had hints of him being more layered, but there's clearly something there. Now, as I'm about to say this, do I think Johan's a little saint? Hell no. He's like been trying to get kids to jump off of roofs and play chicken. What he did to Milosh was terrifying and horrible and irredeemable. So do I think Johan's this little saint? No. I don't understand. There's layers to Johann that we haven't fully gotten to understand. There's 3 different layers to Johann. Obviously, we have the student Johann, the act, the philosopher, blah, blah, blah. But there's 3 versions of Johann that are like, okay, well, which one is real? Are they all real? And what's going on with you? So there's the Johann that shot Junkers, right? The Johann that shot Junkers in front of Tenma. Why? I don't know. Why did you have to shoot Junkers? Why did that matter? Why did you have to kill him in front of Tenma? Why didn't you just shoot him and then run away? Why did you have to make a spectacle out of it? What's the deal? Why do that? That Johann still needs explanation at the end. There is the Johann with Milosh. The Johann with Milosh that seems... I feel like in that instance, Johann was projecting his own insecurities and frustrations about the lack of love from his own parents onto Milosh. Was that right? No. But do I think that's what he did? Yeah, I think that he was, in the moment, he was projecting all of his frustrations about his own childhood onto Milosh. Does that make it justifiable? No, it does not. But I do think that's part of it. Then you have the Johann that wants to save Nina and wants to be with his sister. And the idea that Johann becomes a devil to potentially destroy devils. Now, what I mean by that is we see him go over to Opie at the end of this episode, and Opie looks like he's a messed up mother trucker. Probably a product of Kinderheim. Probably. If he's not a product of Kinderheim, then he definitely is a wannabe product of Kinderheim. I think the old man now, I've been thinking that the old man that hired Martin, I was thinking that he was Bonaparte. I do not think that he's Bonaparte. I think that he's Bonaparte's associate. Because we finally get to see his face. We finally get to see his face at the very end of this episode. And it's not Bonaparte's face and the hairline and everything from before. He looks like the guy that was in the car with Nina, looking at her being like, whenever you see him, you know, talk to him or answer any questions he has. He seems like the guy that was turning in the back seat to talk to Nina when they were kids. That seems like him. He's the associate of Bonaparte. He's like, not the man himself, but one of the associates. So Bonaparte, I think, is the one working with Baby. I think. But we aren't for sure yet. And maybe he is Bonaparte. And they just showed us his face. I don't know. The reason why I don't think he's Bonaparte is because Johann doesn't have this big visceral reaction to him. You would think if it was his dad or Bonaparte, he would have this big reaction when he walks up and shakes his hand. But he doesn't. So that leads me to believe that he's just one of the associates working for Bonaparte. Now, he might, in proxy, Baby might think that it's Bonaparte, and he may be leading Baby on to believe that so that he does what he says. We don't know. But I think that Johann is trying to destroy any traces of himself, so the experiment cannot be repeated. Whatever they did and whatever they deem successful by Johann's existence, Johann seems to be trying to erase that to where it's not going to be a factor in the future. Oddly enough, if that is the case, him and Grimmer have basically the same objective. Him and Grimmer could be the monsters of the East and the West. They're both trying to do the exact same thing. They're both trying to destroy any chances of this experiment being repeated. The question is, but they clearly go about it in 2 different ways and have 2 different things. Grimmer wants to understand emotions. He wants to be loved. He's actively interacting with humanity, trying to gain something that he doesn't believe he's had inside of him this whole time, and to prove his humanity and that he's worth existing, while also destroying what Kinderheim has created. Johann seems to want to destroy what Kinderheim has created. However, he does not have this view of humanity that it's hopeful. It seems like Grimmer and Johann are on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, where Grimmer, they're both on this teeter-totter where they want to destroy Kinderheim 511 and what it represents, right? But Grimmer is on the side that has this faith and want of understanding humanity. He wants to understand what emotions and stuff are like. Johann has a complete lack of faith in humanity. Johann probably believes that everybody's a devil, everyone's evil, they all have a devil inside of them, they're not worth being trusted, they might as well all just die. I'm just going to get rid of them to do what I have to so that the world is going to be safer for my sister. And that's it. So yeah, which is very interesting, right? I don't know if that's the case. Again, I'm theorizing. I don't want to know if I'm right or wrong. Don't spoil me. We'll find out as we go. But it would not surprise me if he went to that little red-haired mother trucker's room to kill him. And that's the last we saw of him. Because I get the impression that Johann is trying to become a devil, or has become a devil, with the objective of destroying the devils around him. And that's the only way he knows how to. I don't know. And then where does that leave Tenma in all of this? Tenma thinks that he might have to become a devil to destroy Johann and does not realize any of this stuff going on and what it all entails. I don't know. But the one thing that's so weird about the dinner party is Johann is smart. Johann's a very intelligent person, right? We've established that. So the idea was that Bonaparte's associate, or Bonaparte, whoever's working with the baby, were having these parties to have Eva call out and identify Johann, because she's the one that has been telling everybody that she saw Johann way back when, knows what he looks like. So she was hired to identify him, and then they were going to nix her and be like, okay, you've identified Johann, thanks, bye. My question is, one, okay, so nobody else knows what Johann looks like. Why not get Tenma to do it? I guess because Tenma would say no. But it's like, why not hire Tenma to do it? Or there's been other people that have seen Johann, so why her? I guess because she probably doesn't have a gun like Tenma. And is easier to find than Tenma. Sure. But then the thing that bothers me more about this whole scenario that I still don't understand is why Johann would let himself be caught. It seems like he wanted this to happen. He wanted Eva to identify him, right? But why? I feel it's a very calculated move that Johann specifically chose this party, maybe because he knows that Tenma was close, maybe because he knows Tenma could interfere. Why does Johann want Tenma to interfere? I don't know. But it also seems like Johann is making his own move. And here's the other thing. That kid that knows everything supposedly about people and is like able, at first I thought he was freaking psychic. I'm like, are you psychic and you can peer back into the past of Martin and all this? But the thing about it is, the red-haired guy, he uses a lot of random deductions. He kind of does like Sherlock's method, where he probably got a hold of case files. He knows that Martin works for the baby. He knows he's been working for years. He probably got a hold of the case files from the records, from the lawyers and the attorneys. He knows about all the different case file information. He just seems like, the red-haired guy seems like a walking data bank, and everybody he meets, he learns things about. He has a photographic memory probably. There's probably ways to logically explain why he knew so much. Now, the part about his mom is probably deduction, and he just was guessing and just happened to hit it on the head, right? So I'm wondering if Johann maybe went to the redhead to learn about himself. Because Johann has had an identity crisis most of this series, and Johann doesn't exactly know what his purpose is and who he is, seemingly. So maybe he went to the redhead to talk to him. The redhead was expecting him. So maybe he went to the redhead to see, like, okay, tell me about myself. What do I need to know? And then I'm pretty sure that the redhead was going to get killed by Johann after whatever discussion they had, which I'm sure the redhead would be elated by because he seems like he had a death wish. But so then is Johann just using this as an opportunity to move up towards his dad? He's been running from his dad this whole time, though. So why would you suddenly change your mind and start to go after him if you've been running from him? But if Johann's like, I can't escape him, I might as well. It's one of those things like when you're backed into a corner, he's like, either if I can't run anymore, I either need to try to keep running or I need to just turn around and face him and then see what's going to happen. And maybe that's what he's doing. It's a lot of questions. a lot of questions that this series is going to take another 12 episodes before they answer, right? But yeah, the man who saw the devil. And so Martin talks about seeing Tenma and tells her 2 days ago he saw her. And she kind of just laughs about it. And she's like, well, I hope you didn't punch him. And he's like, oh, no. And I'm like, you're such a dirty liar. I feel like she knows he probably did, right? She knows he's probably lying to her, and that's why she gets frustrated, right? Because he says no in that moment. He's like, I wouldn't do something like that. And she's like, we're leaving. She's like, no. Because I think she knows in that moment he's lying because she watched him on the train beat that one guy up just for sharing a drink with her. So I'm sure that she knows that if he met up with Tenma, she beat him up. That he beat him up, right? She knows that. But then she's like, we're leaving. And she's like, we're done with all the parties, probably. And I'm like, dude, you didn't realize this? Seriously? Right? And so she agrees to have dinner with this guy. And I'm with Robbie. Robbie's like, you took her to a restaurant, but then you're having dinner here? What, dude? Like, you didn't take her out? What's wrong with you? And then Tenma comes back. The whole scene with the gun and him like holding him up and asking him information is so well done. And the thing about it is, Martin does not act like irrational at all. He doesn't get worked up. He's just like, okay, let's sit down and do this. Let's talk. Whatever. Like, Martin is so game. He like instantly sits down and starts talking with Tenma. And I'm like, dude. I'm like, Tenma's waving the gun around acting crazy. And Martin's like, look, I know what he looks like, but I don't know who he is. And he's like, he just had her go to parties and then had her point at somebody. And that's when Tenma's like, holy hell, she knows what Johan looks like. She pointed out Johan. And he's like, where is she now? And he's like, well, she's having dinner with my boss. And Tenma's like, her job's over. She's gonna get killed. And that's when Martin's like, well, shit, why didn't I put 2 and 2 together? And he just runs off. Because he's in love with her. Damn it. Damn it. And the problem is, look, I know that it is a toxic ship. The Eva Martin ship is toxic as all get out. Because the thing about it is you have Martin's mom, who was an alcoholic and who he abandoned, and she died because he left her, because he got fed up, right? And he was a kid, right? I think that it sucks that he left his mom to die because he was a kid and he just was like, I'm fed up with you, bye, save yourself, you're supposed to be the adult in this situation. And then it didn't work and she died because of it, and he probably felt horrible afterwards. And so then that leads to the next logical step, where the girlfriend that he gets is someone that's also an addict. Like, his mom was addicted to alcohol, she's addicted to drugs, but he chooses to do the opposite, and he does not abandon her. He tries to get her to do rehabilitation. And what ends up happening is that fails. She regresses with her ex showing up, and then she asks him to kill her, but instead he abandons her like he did the mom. But he abandons her because he's like, I'm not going to kill you. He's like, I love you, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm mad at you. So he leaves, and then she ends up dying anyway. So it's just like the most messed up thing. And then that leads to Eva. And Eva is, like his mom, like the girlfriend, also an addict. Like, the guy has a type. She's an addict too. But here's the thing. He does not try, he doesn't do either. He doesn't abandon her, and he doesn't try to rehabilitate her. He just stays there as a support. And he listens, and he offers himself. Like, he doesn't try to, like, get her through rehab. He doesn't abandon her, though. He just does that. But he fails to see her in danger, and he's put to the task of killing her again, and instead, he rescues her. It's like, my fear is that he's like, he would be decent for Eva. Like, he really would. He really would. And I'm not saying Eva would be great for him, but he clearly cares about her, damn it. He cares about her more than Tenma. I think Tenma cares about her, but not in a platonic sense he cares about her. But Martin really cares about her. And so I'm like, I kind of don't want Martin to die, because Martin's literally been the best guy to come across to Eva since Tenma. And I'm like, I just want Eva to be happy with Martin, but I'm like, let them run off together and be by themselves. And I think he's going to die. I think he's going to reach Tenma, tell him what happened, tell him he saw Johan, tell him the whole deal, and then I think he's going to die. And then Eva's going to be like, great, now I don't have you or him. Maybe I'll be wrong. I've been right and wrong the last several episodes, so maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe Martin will be fine. But damn it. And then he takes off and goes there, and then he's like, do you have a gun? And he's like, use this. So yeah, okay, and he tells her to kill her. So, I can't tell if that's Bonaparte or not, and that's so frustrating, and I would need to go back and look at previous episodes, but I kind of don't want to, because I don't want to look it up on the internet. I'll accidentally be spoiled. I don't want people to tell me. So either it's Bonaparte or it's the man. But I don't think it's Bonaparte. I think Bonaparte was more soft-spoken, right? I think this was the man that was in the car, that was the associate, telling them that they were going to meet Bonaparte. I think that's who he is, the boss. I don't think that it's actually him. But I don't know. I could be wrong, so we're going to have to wait. So it's either Bonaparte is the man in the green suit, or it's the associate. But I just don't see Johan meeting Bonaparte until the very end of this story. And I think he'll try to kill Bonaparte, but I don't know. So yeah, and then he gives Martin the gun, and we see Johan looks so sad there. Like, his hair's grown out, it's a little bit shaggier, and Johan looks really sad. Like, Johan is not his normal, like, cheerful, and by cheerful I mean that normal like smirk where he's just like he's sitting there sipping his tea like, oh, I know things you don't know, and I'm in the corner being all devious, tee-hee. Johan is not like that in this moment. He's standing there like he knows it was a trap. He knows he was being lured there. He knows that he's been identified. He knows that guy's going to come up and talk to him. But for some reason, it's part of Johan's mission to get up to Bonaparte and meet him up there that he lets himself get caught. It's probably the best Johan's looked in a while, that long-haired, shaggy look. And then the guy brings along the well-dressed man, shook hands, and then Eva's job was over. Damn. And God, Martin's face, when he's just sitting there and she's telling him to kill her. Like, I felt bad for Eva. I really felt bad for her in this moment, because she knows she's going to die. And she knows, like, it's like, do you want to get killed? Here's the thing, too. Her options are get killed by Roberto. Roberto is sludge. He is not even slime. He's not even sleaze. He is sludge. And Roberto would probably sexually assault her. He'd probably have his way with her and then kill her. And she's like, been there, done that. Don't want that dick a second time. Sorry. And so she's like, been there, done that. Don't want it again. And so she's like, well, my options are get killed by Roberto, probably in a twisted, messed up way. Or then this guy could have told her, be like, look, you do this job, and Martin's a clean guy. He'll just kill you and get it over with. He won't hurt you. He won't touch you. He won't do nothing. He'll just make it quick. And she probably chose to have it end quick. And Martin, God, his face the whole time, where he's just looking at her, because he's had the other woman in his life that he liked ask him to do the same thing. This is why he doesn't want to get involved with women. That's why he hates his job. Right? And so, and then her just being like, she waited to get drunk so that he could kill her and she wouldn't feel it. And she's like, I lured someone horrible to the devil. Like, the fact that Eva acknowledges that Johan is the devil. She's like, I've led someone horrible. And here's the thing. The way that the wording works, is it that she led Johan to the devil? Or did she lead these other guys to Johan, who's the devil? And then she calls herself a devil. So, I mean, Eva knows that everybody's got a devil inside of them. But she's like, I've done something horrible. She's like, but it doesn't matter. And she's like, you can go to these parties. And then he says, let's run away together. And she's like, are you kidding? She's like, can you kill devils? I'm a devil. And then she's like, I deserve to go to hell and be a devil because I'm dressing you up like my former fiance, and you didn't even realize it. Do you realize I was dressing you up like my ex? Isn't that awful? And then the thing about it comes out that she wanted him to kill her because she knew that if he didn't kill her, that he would probably be killed. And it comes out right as she passed out against him. She's like, I don't want you to get killed, so just kill me and be over with it. In the most, like, messed up Bonnie and Clyde way, they're, like, perfect for each other, and the show's not gonna let me have this, and I'm just like, let Eva and Martin run off. Can they please? Can they run off together? And then Martin's like, I gotta save her. And he's like, can I kill devils? And the thing about it is, if you consider his mom a devil, then sure. If you consider the man that slept with his girlfriend and got her to relapse into drugs a devil, sure. But Eva, he lets her go. It's so damn poetic. I freaking love it. Yes, and he just leaves. And what's interesting is this scene where he is with her, and he's like sitting in the chair beside her, and she's sleeping the next day, and he ends up taking the tie with him. He takes the tie with him, even though he wears his own suit. He leaves the suit, takes the tie. The thing about it is, it's the same scenario that we saw with Roberto and her. Way back when she slept with Roberto, we see him in the chair when she wakes up, and he's thinking about killing her. Here, we see the opposite. She's in bed. She has not slept with Martin. And when we see her, the next morning before she wakes up, instead of Martin being like, I'm going to kill her, he ends up letting her go. So it's like just the flip inverse version of what happened. I'm like, like, what the fudge? That's basically my reaction. What the fudge? Love it. Love it, y'all. And so then, yeah, he takes the tie and he looks at her one last time and then walks out the door. And then he goes to Stearns, and I like that he checks with Stearns and makes sure with Robbie that nobody's come looking for him because he wants to make sure Robbie's going to be okay. Good on him. And then we see that the one guy, and here's the thing, Robbie, I like the idea that Robbie told him, he's like, here's the information that Tenma, the guy left you in case if you're looking for him. I think that says a lot because Robbie could have easily just thrown that note away and not paid any attention to it, but he gave it to him, and he's like, it's the Hell Blau Hotel, room 205. Damn, I thought there was like a whole John Wick scenario going on, and like Tenma was running an underground criminal like rink. No, not really. He was just, but was Robbie the guy that picked him up in the car in the last episode? I think he was. So I think Robbie's the one trying to make sure that he makes it to Tenma. Holy shit. Oh my God. But yeah, the Hell Blau Hotel, which also Hell Blau Hotel, Hell's Hotel, and then you have room 606 on the 6th floor with the one guy. Devils everywhere, right? But is Tenma a devil? The children's story would lead you to believe that everyone has the potential to be a devil. That's what the children's stories that we read a few episodes ago would lead you to believe. And everyone is capable of becoming a devil, but are they? I just fascinated. This whole mini arc is just amazing so far. And he's like, I can get into anywhere with just one necktie. Just one. He's like, I just need a necktie to get into these fancy parties. And then, yeah, there's the guy. Is he a devil? He's shaking so many hands. His hands must be swollen. And then he left the party to go back to the hotel. Like, just luring him in. Like, he knew he was going to show up. So freaky. The red-haired guy is creepy as hell. Like, he's just like, oh, come inside. I'm waiting. He's like, don't be modest. He's like, I'm waiting for him too. He'll be here soon. Creepy. This whole encounter with the redhead, creepy. Because he's waiting for Johann, right? And he says, let's talk about something. Let's talk about the end of the world. And I love that Martin's reaction is like my reaction would be. Martin's just like, oh, God, what the fudge? Martin's like, what the hell is this guy going on about? This is the weirdest shit. Like, I love it. I love that Martin's just like, the fudge is wrong with you? It's great. But yeah, he kept talking like a machine. Like a child telling his parents all the fun things that happened at school today. He definitely seems like a product of Kinderheim. Like, he just is spouting all this stuff like he's been trained to do, right? And then using his, like, skills of deduction. You tried your... And then he starts talking about the girl. You tried your best to get her off drugs. And I love that Martin's like, do you want to get hurt? Or do you want to? And I'm like, I think the guy does want to get hurt. That's the problem. It's just like a robot. It's the creepiest thing, right? He's just like he's like a little sprite, a little devil, right? Just trying to gnaw at Martin. And the thing about it is that Martin doesn't snap. He doesn't. He gets close. He gets close with the mom and that story of snapping and punching the guy, but he doesn't do it. He resists. So it's like, well, what now? Like, as soon as he leaves, does he get caught in the crossfire outside the hotel? What ends up happening? I can't believe we have a three-parter. I can't believe we have a three-parter in this. But yeah, the guy even talks about, so the stuff with the girlfriend. The stuff with the girlfriend is all stuff you could probably deduce from the case notes, right? Like, we know that the guy's working for Johann's been after Verdeman. They've been after other lawyers trying to gather information. That part would all make sense. What's fascinating is that Martin is not the one that shot her. But he went to jail anyway because he feels responsible. And I mean, he did shoot the ex-boyfriend. So let's be real. He went to jail for murder. He didn't murder her, but he did shoot the ex and kill him. So justifiable why he went to prison. But he took the blame because he feels like it was his fault that she died. He turned his back on her and walked out and she killed herself. And essentially, that led him to kill the ex. He could have just walked away. He was going to walk away and leave both of them. But then that didn't happen. And then he took the blame after she shot herself. So that part you could probably deduce with notes. The stuff about the mom, though, is pretty freaky. And then the girl kind of even looks a little bit like Eva. So that part sucks. Right? Ugh. And then, yeah, he shot the man. And he was so cold when he did it. Like, Martin just didn't show any emotion. So then the guy says, he talks about the mom. You made her desire to come true. How about the mother? And what's so freaky here is that, again, the redhead has to be a product of Kinderheim because he goes on talking about how people want death. About how people are wanting death. Him saying that your girlfriend wanted death and you didn't give it to her. Your mother wanted death and you did give it to her. So now all you have to do is give death to Eva and go kill her. It's like trying to brainwash him. Like, his words seem like they're trying to brainwash Eva to have him go kill her. And the question is, would and did Martin end up doing it? I would like to think that Martin did not go kill Eva after this mother trucker was trying to brainwash him, but I don't know. I don't know. And so it's like, well, what do we do with that, right? He's like, you deserted your mom back then. Was I right? Amazing. I was actually right. And then he's like, it's not your fault. You only left her because she asked you to. Your mother and your drug-addicted girlfriend wanted to die. You only let those who want to die, die. You aren't wrong. You're right. You set them free from this misery of living. That is such a twisted and distorted thing, suggesting that everyone wants to die and all you're doing is freeing them from and giving them the desires they want. That's some messed up stuff. And it's like trying to justify your actions, to justify the murders that you're committing. That's a Kinderheim thing, right? For sure. And he's like, well, all you have to do is just go do that to Eva. But I don't think Martin would, right? Ugh. He's like, and just then the devil arrived. I passed by making sure not to look at the devil. I can't look. I must not look at him. I recited that to myself like a child. Oh, because it's like, no, you can't look at him, because if you did. The thing about it that's so freaky about that is that Martin tells himself not to look at Johann, because it's like looking at the devil, and he's like, no, he's like, I don't want to look at the devil because I don't want anything worse to happen than what just happened with that sprite, right? But the thing about it is, Tenma looked at the devil, and the devil looked back. But Martin couldn't do it. So what do we do with that? I don't want Martin to try to go kill Eva. I don't think he will. I think he'll get caught up in the crossfires, but I don't know. This episode, why is it a 3-parter? But yeah, so, the whole philosophy of the guy trying to say that people just want to die is terrifying. And I feel like he's going to get confronted by Johann. Johann's going to kill him. But what do we do with this? So I don't want Martin to be brainwashed and go after Eva and try to kill her now. Stop. I hope that's not the case. I don't think it will be. I think Martin can overcome it. But Martin's like, I just couldn't look at Johann because it'd be too much. What do we do? I want to see the next episode so bad. It's taking all I have not to watch it tonight. But I'm not going to. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be good. And wait. But yeah. I'm so excited, y'all. Y'all have no idea. But I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I can't believe we're doing a 3-parter. I'm so excited. I'm going to watch it soon. Don't know if I'll wait for comments. I don't know if I can. But I'm super, super excited to see what's going to happen with our poor boy Martin. Oh my gosh. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'm going to be back really soon with more Monster.